if they come out with the rumored MacBook Pro that has ports again, take my money. Unless they say it's $10,000, in which case I'm going to say
Apple revolutionary. Hey, we're offering ports. Give us the money.
the only thing that's changed is everything.
They'll have something at a $2,500 price point.
Well, I'm sure they will. I don't need the 32-core system, but if they offer it, great.
Did you see that Gmail Blue thing that they did for April Fools?
Gmail Blue?
Yeah, they were like, it's Gmail, except blue. It's like Apple announcement.
So speed-wise, it's
So I'm curious.
very capable, but like as far as support goes and the whatever,
Okay, so at first,
the virtual machine for the x86.
yeah, we had to build our own version of Node one time because the WASM wasn't working for Node, so it wasn't working. So my friend made this janky version of Node and commented out some lines of WASM that was in the build, and then built it, and then it would work. But it was a huge thing that wouldn't work on Node when it was first came out with some of the updates.
You have to compile your own Node.
What?
You have to compile Node.js.
Compile Node, yeah, to get it to work with our system. Because I upgraded the sub version of Mac, and it didn't.
So how long did it take to build that?
Not very long. It was just weird. But I upgraded it on a system that I was using for something that we were like working on, like that we had to have working, and that was a mistake.
So what compiles Node? A C++ compiler?
I don't know.
Is it self-hosting in JavaScript?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because the V6 under it, or V8, whatever they call it, is C++. I know that.
Yeah. Am I allowed to say Node at a Rust meetup?
Yeah, for sure.
Am I going to get booed out of the room?
As groups of weirdos like us are more likely to be involved in 5 languages at the same time.
Uh-oh.
Like he's hosting me, but you're mostly a Node and Go guy, right? Or at least were.
Yeah. So I'm mostly Node and Go. But Node is more by happenstance of history than of what I'd currently like to be doing. It's just.
Nobody wants to.
It pays the bills.
Well, you don't like moving from
But no, this is the thing. You were mistaken. I want to work in JavaScript,
Yeah.
but no one else in the JavaScript community does.
I guess that's true. That's true.
So I'm one of about 3 people, me, Douglas Crockford, and I'm sure I met somebody at a meetup once. We like working in JavaScript.
No, you have it wrong. Nobody wants to do CSS.
We don't do JavaScript. We do what is it? React. We do
JSX.
JSX. We do
Which is JavaScript.
Vue. We do. Yeah. I mean, but that is the thing. It's like
JSX is not JavaScript. It has to go through transpilers. If it doesn't run in a JavaScript engine, it is not JavaScript. No excuses. It's completely BS. That's like me building my own custom version of Rust that you can't run in any of your compilers, and me saying, "Oh, it's just Rust."
I mean, it's eventually Rust.
Well, we get to do that with macros and still call it Rust because it does compile, but
Well, but you don't.
it is sort of a different language.
Yes, the macro language is a different language, which is too bad because Zig got that right. Which I don't know if anything's ever going to happen with Zig or not, but it seems that we've had enough years of engineering experience cumulatively that a small team should be able to come up with a language that is relatively perfect. Should be memory safe, should be easy to program in, should be easy to compile, should be cross-platform.
Haven't we used enough languages to know that there's no free lunches? Like,
Well,
you have to give and take.
Rust has almost everything, except that it creates its own stupid macro system instead of just using the language as the macro system, which is what Zig does, which is awesome. Or like what Go does, where macros are just part of a build step and you just write imperative code whatever you want, and then it builds it out. And then And then the whole, just not having a standard library that's worth calling a standard library. You know. Other than that, Rust would be perfect if it worked for those two things. And Go would be perfect if it weren't for the fact of the garbage collection.
I think you need to work on the strength of your opinions, but, you know, don't hold back.
Well, you know, people tell me that, but I don't think it's true.
I mean, yeah, so, just the point is, you're never gonna get something perfect because you're already optimizing for certain scenarios. When you
Python
do
3.
that-
But that'll make it perfect for you if you make your own language.
That's true.
There you go.
No.
Yeah, it's like that's
I
what the
just-
world needs is one more language.
Can you point to any other industry? Any other industry where when you talk about the main tool you work with, there's a list of the top 50.
Oh, sorry, if anybody on the Jitsi was trying to say something, it didn't come through because it automatically switched mics when I plugged in the other mic, and it decided that it was a speaker as well.
Hello.
Oh, I hear a voice. I mean, the TOB index just came out and said that Python's #1 because it's now like 11.39% of code searches or something.
I don't understand the resurgence of Python.
It's almost all exclusively single-threaded, so.
Yeah, Python is such a terrible language to write something in, especially when we have Rust and Go.
Well,
Like, if you want it
you
easy,
didn't
and
have
you can.
Rust and Go, 10 years ago, so.
Yeah, we did. But Go didn't have a dependency management system 10 years ago. And Rust wasn't.
Python is today's quick basic.
Well, and Go's.
Well, right, but that's what Rust is good at.
Systems language. Python's a better systems language than Go.
Python's a wrapper around a bunch of C++ garbage that Python runs for you.
Thank you for using the correct technical term for that. Uh-oh.
But even the slowest Python is faster than the fastest human.
What? More energy to do the Python or something
Oh,
than the Rust because it was like the front. It's just so.
Well, the code runs, Python code runs very slow and still keeping the CPU busy, so I'm not surprised by that. But when you think about so much of what people do, especially, a lot of the data science going on right now is being done just on a data set of a few 100,000 samples at most on one computer. The time for the person who may not have a strong computer science background, but may have a strong mathematical background or something, to learn to write the code and get something to work. Think of all the people.
That'd be so painful.
Think of all the people who made a career out of VBA and Excel. Okay, that even if it's not, even though it may be ugly from a aesthetics point of view, computer science, and even though it may be slow compared to some